Hi, everyone, and welcome to Career Backstage podcast. My name is Diana Moraru, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Worley Company. So today we'll discuss about how to determine which way to direct your career path after graduation. We invited Lisa Brennan to share her insights and expertise on this topic. So welcome, Lisa, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Oh no, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and keen to support your listeners on any advice they need with their next steps in their graduate career.
Yeah, perfect. And before actually we jump into the discussion, I will present or provide an overview who is Lisa. So she's a graduate development expert with over 15 years of international experience designing, developing, and delivering graduate development programs and full coaching plans. So Lisa now is providing support to business, university career services, and students and graduates directly. So you're doing really amazing stuff, Lisa. So before we obviously we're going to start to talk about our topic, I will invite you, if you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comment box. So we're going to get back straight away because we love the dialogue. We love to interact with you. So please feel free to, to put any comments into comment box. So yeah, I obviously presented a little bit about you, Lisa, but who is Lisa Brennan and what people don't really know about you?
So I think probably what people don't know about me is this is probably like my third career probably in my life.
Wow.
So I always think it's important for people to know that you don't just have to have one career for life.
Yeah.
I had a career working in McDonald's restaurants. I went through their management program and graduated from the University of Hamburg Geology, and that is a real thing. But but obviously they put a lot of investment into their development and training as a business, and I feel quite fortunate that was the foundation for me. And then I went on to work in a number of different corporates and companies in the talent management side of HR. And so really focused a lot of that on the graduate development side of things. And then now I am my own business owner. I set up my own coaching and consultancy company, and it means I can really focus on the things that I enjoy doing as part of my career. All the parts that I suppose picked up along the way, I can now put them all into my own business, and I'm really enjoying that and really enjoying life. I spend a lot of time at home just now because of COVID, and my partner in crime at work is actually my dog, Loki, and Diana knows all about Loki. But I think for me, most people don't know that I actually used to have a real fear, in fact, probably quite an extreme phobia of dogs. And so now to be a dog owner, I think for me shows how much I've been able to stretch myself over time and really work on that fear, because it did impact my life a lot on the things that I would and wouldn't do. And now, yes, I am here. I am cured of my fear, and I own an amazing dog, and love him to bits.
Yeah, I mean, I love Loki. It's a really cute dog. And I know about you that you're really passionate and love, to help students, to find out the right career path for them, which is really difficult because we've been through that. And as you said, you had three times you changed career in your life, and I think I changed like also 3 times career in my life, and I'm not quite sure if this is going to be the last one. So what actually means career path for graduates and students? Do they really know what career path to embrace after graduation? Because I think sometimes they are quite lost. They finish their school, the university, the school, they have the certificate, but they don't really know what to do and what is the next step.
Yeah, completely. And I think actually it's quite refreshing to bring this up, because a lot of students and graduates think they're the only person that feels that way.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is actually that's the way most students and graduates feel, because you study for a qualification that is so varied. It covers all aspects of a topic.
Yeah.
But it can be quite difficult to then say, well, yeah, but what does that mean? How does that relate to a job? And what part of this will I actually use in a job? You know, and then is that one job something I want to build my whole career on, or is that just something that's going to give me some skills to move on to another area? So I think it's really difficult for students to think this is the career path I want to take. And so I would say think about it as this is the first step that you want to take, and look for a job that is focused on the kind of the parts you've enjoyed doing as part of your studies, because that will help.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I finished, for example, back home in Romania, the bachelor degree in international European and it was international relations and European studies. So that was a certification, a bachelor degree in politics. And I said, like, oh my God, in that time I was loving politics. So I went back and I used to work for the government for 2 years. And after that, I realized, like, okay, this is not the career path that I really want to embrace. And I don't really see myself for all my life. In that time, I just realized, and I said, like, I don't see myself in the, for a long term working for government.
Yeah.
So just in that time, I realized that, okay, this is not my career. Because when we're talking about career, something that we really love for long term, even maybe for all our life. And I just realized that my values changed in that time, perhaps. So are the students obviously aligned with the career aspirations and also with the right job that they get, or not really aligned with their career aspirations?
I think that is quite an individual thing. I would say a lot of students probably chose a subject that to study that perhaps they were good at school, or that they were aware of in terms of their parents or friends or wider circle. They might have known that there was job opportunities if they studied in that area, and also they had the qualifications to study for that degree. But that whole period, you go through university for 4 years, and it's 4 very formative years in defining who you are and your personality. And by the time you're 25, like, your personality is fully formed. So those kind of final years, as you leave school and go through university, you're forming your I suppose values, beliefs based on your experience. And as a result of that, as you go through that, your opinions will change. If you, as you just said, Diana, you changed your own values and beliefs in terms of the politics side of things and wanting to have a career in politics. So I would say often students do carry out their degree, but they are probably less passionate about the subject than they were when they first started.
And I completely agree.
Yeah, and that can be confusing, I think, for a lot of students.
Exactly, because, for example, I remember I was asking one person, okay, so you finish your high school, you're going to university, what you would love to study? They said finance. And I said, okay, what about finance? What actually finance means to you? Because, sometimes people confusing. I feel like, okay, when we talk about finance, for some people means numbers, and that's it. And when they actually going to university and they start kind of, doing finance, they think about, okay, it's not only numbers, it's something more about. So I don't really enjoy this. And sometimes they think, okay, if I'm studying this, that means I'm gonna work also on this. And what I study also, I will just put in practice. It's not like that. And sometimes I think it's this kind of confusion and disconnection from what we studied that actually sometimes is killing our passion. And when we actually enter into the job, working for business, we think, oh, we cannot apply anything while we study at school. Actually, I'm not enjoying.
Yeah.
So that's why some people taking this 1 year, perhaps. I met so many students once they finish, or after the high school, when they finish, before they actually joining university or being enrolled in university, they obviously doing 1 year of exploration. Okay,
Yeah.
what I would love to do,
Yeah.
or after the finishing the after finishing their studies, they think, okay, I'm gonna take 1 year, just like we say in work, leave of absence, and we're gonna try to explore what we would like to, what kind of career path to embrace.
Yeah, I think that is such a good opportunity for people who can do that, because getting that very clear in your head, having that clarity around about, yeah, this is the direction I want to go in, this is the interest I have, this is what's important to me, that makes it so much easier to then align yourself to a job, because you know yourself what you want. And this is something that we talk about to graduates all the time. You have to know you to then think, oh, this is the right career for me, this is the right job for me. And that's so important. And I hear quite often of students who have, they've studied engineering and maths, but they go into finance rather than an engineering based role, or people who've studied English and journalism moving into years in law. So it's useful to have undertaken the qualification. It demonstrates that you can learn and you can take that knowledge and understanding and you can apply it. But it's also useful to think about, well, if I'm not so passionate about this subject matter anymore, then how can I take some of what I've learned and transfer it onto another subject area? And there's a lot of companies out there now, especially, looking for people who can be bringing and offering a broader range of skills and adding more value than just, this is the one area that I can focus on.
Yeah, and especially now, some companies, they've done some reports regarding the future skills that employers are going to look for, and especially from 2021, so employers are going to look more for creativity, innovative, and also cognitive skills. So people who are going to have this type sort of skills, they were going to be the let's say the most required people, or the most wanted people in the organization.
Yeah.
So okay, we could see that obviously students, I would say, encounter a lot of challenges, or at least they're facing with a lot of challenges when they try to search or get a job in this coronomics time. This is what I said, coronomics time.
Yeah.
So what challenges, obviously, from your experience, because you actually mentor and coach so many students, and help them to get a job, what are the most common challenges that students and graduates are facing, with a job search in this coronomics time?
It's very, very unique. I mean, obviously, we've had downturns in the economy before, recessions, but actually this global pandemic is hitting every single country in the world, and therefore it has a huge impact on the job market globally, not just within any given country. And so I think it is, I would say it's that in itself isn't the challenge. So you have the impact of coronavirus, you have the impact of, in any country, any kind of political things that are going on. So in the UK, Brexit, in the US, a new president, and similar across the world. There's lots of things happening in the socio-economic aspects of economics that can impact on the market. The main thing I would say is the challenge that students need to get over is actually what's going on in their own head, this mindset that they need to change. What I hear a lot of is, I don't have this, or like, you know, I can't demonstrate this skill, or I don't have this work experience because I can't get a student placement or a vacation scheme because there isn't anything available. So because of that, I won't get a job. And so I think the thing I would encourage students to do most of all is to not really dwell on the fact that the job market has been hit at the moment, and we all know that, and it will recover, you know, and I think in a lot of aspects it will recover quite quickly as the world opens up again. It's not going to be like this forever. But actually you need to make sure in your head that you can say, this is what I do have to offer. This is, I might not have like a year in industry that is specific to the job I'm applying for, but instead I've got all of this other experience that includes committees or volunteering work, and all the skills you learn as a university student. Some people might have had part-time roles or previous work experience before they've studied this qualification. And even in your hobbies and interests, you know, what is it that you have learned? I always talk about people who, you know, perhaps teach themselves how to learn how to play an instrument. And if you're doing that, you're doing a lot of research. You're understanding how to practice, you're developing the skills over time, you're monitoring your own progress and how good you are at playing that musical instrument, and you're honing your craft, and you are committed to that and dedicated. And so over time, that's a whole skill set in itself that you would mimic developing any other skill in a working environment. So you can certainly use that as that type of thing as an example going forward. So I would say, although there's so much going on socio-economical wise, but focus on what do I have, what can I bring to the table, rather than what's not there. Because if you focus on what's not there for you or for companies, then you're never going to see past that.
I completely agree, Lisa, with you, and thank you so much for sharing this, because I volunteer for CIPD, Charter Institute of Personal Development, as a mentor, and I used to mentor and coach a lot of students who finished their university, and they really was on the first stage of employment. So that was kind of their first professional job. And I remember when people coming and saying, okay, I do not have the skills, you know, stated in the job description. I do not have the right experience and expertise. So how I can get that job? And exactly as you said, it's more about the mindset. It's more about like encouraging and empowering people. Like, okay, you have at least the right personality. When we think about the right personality, you having the right attitude. For example, you are a really hard worker. You can learn that. So your skills and your experience, you are gonna gain along the way, which is brilliant. But you have such a good personality, and you can make an impact through your personality. You know, bringing that type of value that the team needed. And yeah, it's really great that you pointed this out. And yeah, students, they need to change this, and this is the way how they will kind of overcome these challenges. So how, for example, students can determine which career path is right for them after the graduation. Yeah, we talk about, you know, like taking 1 year, maybe reflecting, exploring, to see if this is right for them. But also I think about values, you know, this is maybe, it can be a really useful and helpful tool for them to determine what career path to join, what career path to embrace, you know, after the graduation. Have you obviously worked with graduates when, you know, when finding out what are their values, and if their values actually can align with the job that they really want to get?
Yeah. And I think that is core to it. What are your values? And I would say there's probably 3 things that we would recommend for students to focus on. So one is, what are your drivers, interests and passions?
Yeah.
What is it that you actually think this is what's got me to where I am now, and this is what excites me about what's going to happen next? What is it that's driving you to apply for those jobs? And then think about, within that, well, what are my strengths? What is it that I want to develop further? And that, knowing all of that, and even with some feedback from other people like your friends and parents and other family members, knowing all of that can help you to think, right, okay, this is the target for me. But to narrow it down further, then think about, well, what am I willing to compromise on? Because you might not get your perfect ideal job, so everything that contains as much of the spending the time on your passions and interests as you want. There's parts of all jobs that you think it's not ideal, but it's only a small part, so I can deal with that. So it's when you think about what you compromise on. I mean, is it where the job's located? Is it the type of industry sector it's in? Is it that you want more flexible hours and want to be able to work from home, or you're not bothered about that? Is it to do with how long your commute is, what your salary and benefits package is? What is it across all of the probably more hygiene factors around that role? What are you willing to compromise on, and what are you not willing to compromise on? And you'll probably find the things that are most important to you, that are so connected and deep rooted to your own personal values, they'll be the things that you don't want to compromise on at all. Or if you do have to, that you'll say, I might be able to do that for 6 months, but that would be it. So if you know your drivers and you know what you can compromise on, then the next step is to target companies that match all of that. You look at the job advert and say, that's what I'm looking for, that matches everything that I've already decided for myself. So they're the three.
That's correct, to target the right companies. But sometimes, for example, I know that especially people who are finishing really well-known and prestigious and famous university, maybe like Oxford, Cambridge, their target are really quite big corporations like maybe Facebook, Google, Amazon. So I'm just wondering, because I had few people who obviously few students who finished the university, but they were not from Oxford or Cambridge, and they really wanted to apply for a job at Facebook, Amazon, or whatever. But I felt like they were not ready to start, because that is kind of a psychological thing. But you feel like the person, is not ready to start now to work for Facebook, Google, or whatever. What we can advise these people, for example, in case if they're not ready, they can be ready maybe in half a year or 1 year, but they need to train their brain a little bit to perhaps, deal with a high workload and also with more meetings. They need, they need that brain to be trained. This is why sometimes I suggest to people, like, it's not the right time. I'm not quite sure.
I know exactly what you mean. A lot of these big brands, and particularly things like Google and Amazon and Facebook, it always comes across as, there's this big brand, but here we are and we're all just kind of going through life, but work is actually really easy and work is really playful and creative.
Yes.
The reality is that when you go into these big companies, they are extremely busy. There, as you've described the schedule, there's lots of meetings, there's lots of dedication required on your part to be resilient, to cope with everything that's going on in that environment. And you are challenged all the time to improve, and you're challenged all the time to challenge other people on how their products and services are going to offer the best for the customers. And I think you're right, you have to be in the right mindset to cope with that. But if that is your desire, if that is what you want to look at, I would say, right, well, what is a company that's perhaps like the competitors of that, or the next level down and the rung of people within that industry sector, of companies within that industry sector, because they'll also be looking for really smart and switched on graduates, but because they're lesser known, there will be also a lesser volume of applications that will be made, and perhaps they might not be seen as such a prestigious name for your CV, but actually the experience that you get there could then help you to progress into working, in one of the top tier companies. So I think there is a lot to be said for looking into the competitors next tier down, smaller companies, but in the same field that you're interested in. It still will satisfy your passions and interests, that you're in the same field, but it gives you that kind of stepping stone towards the prestigious company, if that's what you aim for.
Yeah, that is a really good tip. Hopefully, people who watching us, they can take on board, let's say, this tip. And please feel free, people who listen us, please feel free to leave any comments. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment box so we can get back straight away to you. We are here to answer to your questions. So what are the most preferred, let's say, fields by students and graduates to get a job? We can talk about, about period now. I know there are a lot of people actually looking, or at least I'm not quite sure if a lot of students looking for an IT job, but there are a lot of offers, let's say, in IT on the market.
Yeah. I would say actually, IT and technology, and then also marketing, especially digital marketing. These are the two big careers at the moment. And when we think about IT, it is like the future of technology. So it is things like, automation, how can we, go more advanced than we already are in terms of building that more global community. And the pandemic actually has taught us that we can still survive. Many people have worked all the way through the pandemic virtually, so it's how can we make those platforms more sophisticated, or any kind of aspect of technology more sophisticated to be able to support, I suppose, not just a pandemic situation, and because that's what we need to do, but it's seen as an enhancement and almost essential part of life going forward, because it makes life so much easier for everyone. So technology companies are really big. And then, as I said, digital marketing is key. So many businesses now are moving away from traditional routes of advertising. They're looking at, sponsored adverts on YouTube, on other social media platforms, even just being a brand ambassador, for different products. A lot of students do that, so they pick up a lot of the skill set for a career in digital marketing, just as a bit of a side hustle to what they're doing in their studies. So we do see that right now there's a lot of students and graduates who are choosing to move away from what they originally studied into the digital marketing field, because they already have that expertise and it's in demand from businesses in all industry sector.
Yeah, that's really great on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm thinking, because now it's a really huge demand on the market for IT specialists and also for marketing specialists. I'm thinking that a lot of people are gonna start to embrace this career, maybe without realizing that this is not really the right one for them or whatever. Sometimes people have this, okay, this actually is required in the market, we're going to go for that, or we're going to make a lot of money. And especially when we are young, that is one of our, I would say, value. We are really focused to get money, and that is really important for us. And after that, we realize no. So I'm just thinking, on the other hand, do not kill the passion of people. And because they might have a passion for law, or they might have passion, I don't know, for politics, or they might have a passion for human resources, but because they look now what is happening on the pandemic situation or on the employment market, they can obviously, this can kill their passion, and they might go, okay, I'm going just for IT because I'm going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's really, it's something that I think students need to get a moment and have a peace conversation, let's say, with themselves and think about, because sometimes we actually, this is impacted, the job that we choose, and also the career aspiration that we have is impacted by what is happening on the market, or by the economical stuff, political stuff, and everything like that. So
yeah, there's so many things, and I think you are right, but again, it comes back to that understanding you and your drivers, and what is important to you and what are you willing to compromise on, because for some people that money is that driver, and so for them they will go where market dictates, and you probably find they will move from career to career based on what's happening globally at any given time. But there will be some people who money isn't the driver for them. It's more about the value they can add or the development experience they can get. So you'll find that they might not be so drawn in to what the market dictates. But also, if they do get drawn in, you'll find that they would look to do something different, like find that second career, maybe even pretty quickly, compared to what they perhaps initially thought. So I think, there's kind of two sides to that.
Yes. Yeah. And because, you, as I said, you mentor, and through Graduate Ambition company that you have so far. So you offer, when you're helping students to embrace the right career path and the right career. I'm just thinking, is there a way that, for example, universities can help them in the last year of studies? Is there a way, students who are coming to you to ask for help, are they quite ready, prepared enough, or you need to work with them quite a lot in order to, prepare them for assessments, for creating process?
Yeah, I would say that the majority of students are not ready, because they're only looking at it from their perspective. They're looking at, this is what I want, this is what I need, and that's great. You need to know that. That's what we've been saying. But you also need to think about what the company wants and needs, and the two things have to match. They have to align for that job to be right for you, and for you to give the most value into that job. So I think that's one aspect of it. I think in terms of how universities can help, obviously universities already have career services in place. Go to them. I hear so often from the career advisors in my network that students don't come to see them until a month before they're going to graduate, and they're like, we've been here for 4 years or 3 years, we could have come at any point and started to build up this and information and awareness of what you had to do, and how long it will actually take to complete a job application and go through that process and be prepared for that. So I think that's one thing that's already there. The university doesn't need to do anything different. The students just need to take advantage of the fact that free service is there for them. And also, I would say, be aware of who the partners are, the industry partners and third-party kind of contractor parties that are involved with your university, because these will be people who are generally interested in helping and supporting this graduate and student community, but also they work for companies who are employing graduates and students. and they will have a wide network of other companies and people who are employing graduates and students. So I think it's important that you learn to tap into that. So be aware of who those partners are. You can speak to the careers advisors and ask them, do you have details on those companies, and do you have any contact names there that we can look through and, take advantage of connecting with them on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever social media that might be, and reach out to them and ask for a coffee, start to build those networks. So your university can help just by having those networks and relationships and you tapping into them. And another source I think that is so overlooked for students is your lecturers. They're there and they have huge networks. They've had often experience either working in industry or partnering with industry on research, whatever way they have built up their community, their understanding and best practice, so that they can deliver their expertise and knowledge to you. But they haven't done that in isolation. So I think it's really important that you tap into that network, ask them, do they know any good connections for you to reach out to? Is there anyone they can introduce you to? Do they know of any job opportunities? Often lecturers hear about jobs, but they are busy and they don't really have time to email out to different people. So I would say the universities are already probably doing a lot. I think I encourage them very much to continue to support students with their well-being, their mental and physical health, encouraging them to do that, especially at this time during this pandemic. But I think a lot of the services are already there. Perhaps they could advertise them a bit more. I don't know what happens between one university and the next, but there is definitely opportunities there for students to take advantage of that are free to them and available to them through the university.
Yes, you're right, because I remember when I finished Human Resources Management, my master's degree at Kingston University in 2015. So we had the department, Career Development, I think was calling the department, and I was going to the career advisors and I was asking them to, look on my CV, provide me with the feedback. But I never thought about, as you said, that is really interesting that you share with us this tip about, the teachers. Never kind of build that relationship with the teachers at Kingston in order to help me, to position myself into the market, let's say. At least not really to recommend me for some jobs, but at least to, asking them to share what kind of the expectations from the employers.
Yeah.
So I even didn't know that. And actually, because teachers, most of them, they're coming from, let's say from big corporations, and they were teaching us a lot of experience and expertise also, and they were sharing from their experience and expertise. I never thought about okay, let's ask this, which is really brilliant. So that's why my next question is how students and graduates, and perhaps if there is another way, can align with employers' expectations in choosing the right career path. So teachers can be one thing that can help them. Is there anything else that can help them to align with the employers' expectations? How do they know, okay, these are the employers' expectations?
I think there's lots of good sources out there of information. So things like Glassdoor, for example, and other similar platforms that retain information on experiences of employees, and they'll vary from country to country, obviously, what they are, but I would say Glassdoor is probably one that's very familiar with most, and you can look on there, understand what people have said about the culture, what people have said about the management and leadership there, even down to in some companies, their CEO is being ranked, or the experience of their graduate programs. On the threads on there, you can find details on what the selection processes are for these companies, what type of things to expect. So I think that's one way. And the other way is connecting with people that are involved in, I suppose, advertising job roles or involved in selection processes, whether that's in HR or from the business side of a company. I think again, it's an untapped resource, and we've been hosting a lot of Q&A sessions for graduate ambitions, and all of the expert panels have said we expect to be contacted by students and graduates, to ask about the process, to get more information and what is it that we're looking for as a company. They're expecting actually that to be, I think, the third top way of them connecting with students at the moment. But actually they're finding that that they're not getting as much contact as they would like. So don't be afraid to reach out to companies directly to just ask, So yeah, why is this so important to you? I saw that collaboration is really important on your website. Why? What is it about collaboration that's makes it so different? And I think that takes me on to kind of probably the third thing I would suggest is that alignment. Companies want you to fit with them. They don't want anyone to come and work for them that's not going to enjoy that experience. That's not good for you, and it's certainly not good for them and their reputation. So they want to be very honest about this is our world of work. This is what our culture is. And you generally find that on the website and in the information about the job. So there will be keywords to look out for in terms of the skills, and there will be keywords to look out for in terms of the values of that company and the attributes that they expect someone to bring with them. If you can align to those, if they're similar to the skills that you've got and your own personal values, then that's a great alignment, and you should go ahead, apply, and hopefully be successful.
Yeah. I love that you highlighted about, asking companies that you would like to get a job, asking them about this before you're applying, because most of time, I think even myself, I've been in that position. I was expecting to know everything before I'm applying. And for me, it was like a shame to go and ask that question. Okay, what, to find out a little bit more about. So I was expecting that, oh my goodness, I cannot ask any questions because I'm applying. If I'm applying, that means I have to know everything. So people do not need to have this kind of expectations from themselves. Is nothing wrong by asking first of all questions and after that applying, just to see if it's the right company for you and if you can bring value on the table for the company. So are somehow students and graduates ready and flexible, I would say, because now we're talking about flexibility, and I think is one skill that everyone needs to have it, and especially now. Are they actually ready and flexible to thrive in this difficult time? Do they have the right skills and personality? Is something that is missing, or if they still need to develop something in order, to survive and I would say thrive in this time?
I think with anything you can see over time as people mature, obviously you become probably more confident in who you are and your abilities. I would say though, no one is expecting a student or graduate to be fully formed, fully mature in their thoughts and who they are. That would be very rare. And so companies are expecting the students and graduates to come along and for them to offer what they bring with them, their qualification and themselves and the skill set that they've built up so far, but they're expecting to be able to help you develop that further. That's the whole point of coming in at an entry level position. You get the support, you get the development, and that support and will continue as you progress in your career. So I think when it comes to what skills and how ready people are, I would say actually this generation are very, very ready for what companies need. Actually, I would say a lot of it is this generation has been pushing, for the products and services that are becoming so huge out in the markets today, and therefore companies are having to respond to that. So I think actually they will connect quite well. I think in terms of skill set readiness, you mentioned flexibility. I think I would probably enhance that once more by saying adaptability. So it's having the flexibility and the versatility both together, to be adaptable. And that is the number one skill that employers are looking for post-pandemic. So people who can obviously be comfortable with change, or get through change very quickly without getting stuck. So people who are aware of who they are and what they're selling to the company. So when you get there, you can adapt to whatever project, whatever situation is required of you. As I mentioned, companies are becoming kind of flatter, so yes. With that, it means that your breadth of experience becomes more important sometimes, and being able to cover a lot of different subjects, rather than just becoming an expert in one. I mean, there is still technical experts required, so that will never go away. But for the most part, like, companies are becoming flatter. And I think with this adaptability, it brings with it great pressure, I think, on people. And so it has to be compensated by your resilience, your way of handling things, how you cope, and making sure that you have personally got in place your own ways of doing that. What works for you? Is it meditating, exercising, reading a book? So being able to decompress and not just being full on 24/7 focused on work. That's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for the company either. So they want that balance of, you are resilient enough to cope, and they will have support there to help with that. But they want to know you've got your own ways of recognizing when you are under pressure and how you deal with that, or how you mitigate that. And then they'll also want to know you are adaptable and you can challenge people on questions. You're asked to do something and you can say, I want to do that, but actually I don't know how to, because I've not been taught that yet. And not shying away from the fact that you've not got all of that experience. So I think they are really key skills that will.
Yeah.
But I think I think a lot of these, a lot of the people in this generation, they have that as kind of inbuilt in them. It's the way they've been brought up until now. It's been part of their life. So it shouldn't be too much of a leap to take that into the workplace.
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. And because our time is due to end, so the last question, it's related to the title, obviously. So how students can determine which career path is right for them after the graduation. So if you can kind of share some tips and tricks, let's say in bullet points, first, second, third, like in a summary quickly, that are going to be really brilliant and helpful for people, just to understand. It's more about everything that we talk in 1 hour.
yeah, there is so much more. But I think the 3 tips I would give are, you have to plan your job search and understand how you fit that into everything else you've got going on in your life. It's so important. You don't just try and keep it all in your head, because you'll miss deadlines and submission dates, and end up staying up all night working on an application. So planning, preparation side of things, and then targeting. Make sure you target the companies that match you and your values, because that will make it easier for you when it comes to you building a CV to match that company, and answering any application questions, or being involved in selection processes, because it's a natural fit. So it will be easy for you to talk about those things that come up in the interview and respond to those questions, than something that's not such a great fit and you have to really think about how you respond to each and every question. So I think that's the first two. And the third one is that you need to be prepared to be yourself as you go through all of this process. Don't try to be something that you think the companies are looking for. Don't try to be some perfect mold of a graduate. One, that's a lot of pressure to put in yourself, and two, that perfect mold does not exist. Companies are very much looking for diversity and inclusion in all aspects of how of the candidates they recruit. So that, might come down to things like, your race or religion or gender, but it's also, just as important that you've got diversity in your employees in terms of thoughts, opinions, and people's expertise and skill set. So they want to make sure they've got that fully rounded population that can challenge their products and services internally before they're going out onto the market to their customers. So it's actually really important that you're different from everyone else that works there, that you bring your full self to work and you don't shy away from that. So please try to be authentic, try to be yourself.
Yeah, that is the most important thing, to be honest, like to be authentic and to be yourself, because and I think this is the most as important thing that will gonna stand you out from the crowd, I would say. I just didn't really look that almost 1 hour passed, and I really enjoyed this. Is actually also a real passionate topic for me. So because I went through there and I was helping also students. And by the way, Lisa, you're doing a brilliant job, helping graduates, because this is really important. And I know, going through 3 careers in my life, I noticed how important it is to do the job with passion. Mm-hmm. So in that time when I finished first degree in my life, I didn't really think about it. But after that, I started to realize this. Okay, so I need something that I can do with passion. Yeah. And I think now we're moving also again, whenever you're going to do in this life, you need to do with a passion. If you don't have a passion, then you will not be able to work anymore or to progress, in this job, like to offer creativity, to be innovative, whatever you need to offer, you'll not be able if you're not passionate.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was just going to say, sorry, I know we're finishing, but you spend a long time at work, so you want to enjoy it. You want to enjoy it.
Exactly. And I thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much for sharing, for bringing examples. And I'm pretty sure, because I saw that people watch us, I'm pretty sure they could learn, and they can take forward your tips and tricks about this, even they didn't ask any questions. And I will thank you so much. I would like to say thank you so much to people who watch us, and I will see you next Monday on 8th, and we'll be talking about diversity in the workplace with Yvonne Thompson. So at 3 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Romanian time. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Have a great and lovely week ahead.